right, everybody, and welcome to episode 51 of Beyond the Court. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's been a while. Had a lot of travel going on and finally got it together. And after releasing today's flyer, I got some, messages quickly about some spelling and some editing, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes with my co-host tonight, Dr. Tim Baghurst. So let's bring him in right now. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Sazi. How are you?
I'm very good. Good to see you. They don't know when we create that flyer. I got to send that to you, I think, for editing prior to. Because why don't you tell everybody what I got wrong the first time, and even still, go ahead. It's okay.
Maybe the first name of Andre, maybe the second name, maybe recap was hyphenated, but no comment.
All right. Well, next time I promise to send it to you first. We're gonna have a good show, fun show. Obviously, our guest will be Andre Padilla, so that'll be fun when he signs on. I told him to give us a few minutes before we get going, so when he gets in here, we'll bring him in. And we're going to talk about a couple things. One thing we're going to talk about, nobody better than you to discuss this with, obviously, is the recap, without the hyphen, of the 2021-2022 LPR season. What are your thoughts before we really get into about that?
Really good season. The fall season was a really long one. First half of the season, because LPRT finishes in the summer, IRT finishes in around the Christmas period. The fall season was really busy. Rankings were all a little funky just because catching up from COVID, and so we saw a lot of shifting in the rankings, especially this spring when a lot of those tournaments that maybe have been pre-COVID dropped off, and we saw some people rise up the rankings who really impressed. And we also saw some people who maybe had been relying on some success from a year or two ago and all of a sudden find themselves struggling to get into the round of 16 and definitely quarterfinals.
Yeah, I'm interested in talking to you about that. We had a lot of fun commentating together. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, a lot of side conversations as far as things we see, things we just thoughts as far as what we see in the future, what we see currently. And I think it's important that we discuss that and bring that to the fans and everybody that pays attention, because obviously those conversations they're not part of. And when we're commentating, we're kind of focused and locked in on making sure we bring everybody what's going on in that match. So that was fun. I appreciate that. Andre Padilla, we're going to have him in a second. As you can see, he's not here yet, but he will be. What are your thoughts on Andre before we bring him in?
So he doesn't know this yet, but we got a couple pictures of him from back in 2015 at the Junior World Championships, where he participated in the 18s and played Montoya in the finals. And I got a couple photos of him in the finals. And that was the first time I met him. Very, very highly intelligent player, very strategic player, covers a lot of court, very one of those players where the ball's just never down. He gets the ball after ball after ball and often wears out players. But I'm curious to ask him what it's going to take for him to be number one, because he's currently ranked number 2. He's been around 4 over the last few seasons, finished about 4th. Okay, that's commendable. That's really good. You've got a couple tour titles. What do you have to do to be number one? I want to know what he thinks.
Yeah, we call those guys when we're playing them, Tim, and you're in the court with those guys that just get everything, annoying.
Yeah, they are.
They're just, it puts a different type of pressure on you when you're playing with someone like that. It's going to be interesting to hear from him for sure. Reminds me of a Jason Menino, somebody that maybe didn't want to or need to hit the ball as hard as some of us, or weren't maybe as explosive, but kept everything in play. Mm-hmm. And he's just trying to break you down and wear you down. And eventually, and we talked about it a lot in the commentary, you lose your patience and you want to end the rally and you go for something super early or too early. And next thing you know, you're taking a shot you shouldn't. And we saw that a lot in Kansas, and we'll talk about that after.
Yeah. I think we should mention as well, we were talking about this before the show, just adding in a section for people to ask questions, right?
Yeah.
It's all being well, us yakking for an hour or however long this show is. Let's talk about topics that people want to talk about.
Agreed.
Recognizing that, I'm in a position where I can't always say everything that maybe I want to, just because of the position I hold with the LPRT. But yeah, let's have a discussion. Let's talk about the hot topics and things that need to be discussed, or at least have an open mind about what we're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. You and I just saw Andre. He's getting on. So let's go to a quick commercial, Doc, and then we will come right back with Andre Padilla. All right. Let's go see one of our sponsors, Performance Chemicals. 30 seconds. We'll be right back with Andre Padilla. There he is. Andre, welcome to the show. What's up, buddy?
Hello, guys. How are you?
Hey, Andre. I want to, so before we begin, all right, Andre, tell us, is it Andre or Andre?
I mean, all the Americans call me Andre, but Mexicans, it's Andre.
Andre.
Yeah, Andre, with an accent at the end.
He said that too nicely, because I would say the gringos say Andre, and that's how we say it. We say Andre, but it's Andre because I am part Latino now, Andre. You know that.
Yep. I know that.
Hey, so great event out in Costa Rica. Thanks for joining us tonight. Tim and I want to talk to you a little bit about, obviously, the great season that you're having and you're continuing to have. Tell us a little bit about Costa Rica, how it was, what went on. Obviously, we know the results. Congratulations on winning that. That was great. Talk about it.
Thank you guys for inviting me to the show. Yeah, Costa Rica was great. I've been there for the last 3 events that they had. Last 2 years, they didn't have it because of the pandemic, but I'm glad they invited me again. They did the event happen again, and yeah, it's always a great event. They take care of all the players really good. We're all happy there. We stay at a good hotel that is just across the street from the club. The food is really good. Everything's really good. The organization of the event, yeah.
And some cash as well. I bet he's happy about the cash.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I'm happy about that too.
So you beat Sam Murray in the finals. Big win. That was a tier 2 or 3 IRT event?
It was a tier 3.
So can you move up in the rankings? Because you're currently ranked number 2, correct?
Yeah, Daniel, which is number 1 now, he has a big advantage, around 1,000 points. The IRT just changed the system because they're trying to increase the prize money. They're trying to do a satellite system that works different. I don't really know how it works yet. I just know how Costa Rica work. It was a satellite 500, so it's 500 every round you win. $500 you make every round you win, and I don't know how many points I made for that one, but I don't think I'll pass Daniel because he's got a big advantage now.
All right, so you're currently number 2, and you finished around number 4 for the past few years. What do you need to do to be number 1? What do you think? Because you've been close, you've won a couple of tour stops, but Daniel has been very consistent over the last year, 9 months. What do you need to do in order to be number 1?
It's about what you just said about consistency. He's been playing really good all the tournaments. Even when he doesn't win the tournament, he loses in the finals, semis, or quarters. And I had like 2 events that I lost in my first round. I think it was just 1, and then I lost like 2 other events in the quarters. So I didn't increase my points a lot on those tournaments. But as you said, it's just about consistency. It's about playing good. Like every weekend we have a tournament. And from what I heard from the IRT, we're gonna have from 13 to 15 tournaments next year. That's what they said. So I'm
Wow.
excited I'm excited to play more often next year, and we'll see. I'll be trying to prepare myself to be more consistent. I think I'm playing really good, and I'm being more consistent than I was before. So hopefully I can have more of these weekends like I had in Costa Rica, and I can be number one if I do that.
Andre, be specific. You know, I was there. I was in your shoes. But tell Tim and I in the audience. You know, you can disclose it. I think. What exactly in your game do you think you need to do to be able to go win and you know, consistency is huge. Yes, you know, being on tour and finishing high, finishing well in each event matters. But as a player, as an athlete, you know, you work hard. You're always working. You have a great team. Your dad, your sister. You know, what do you think you need to do to take that next step? Like, what would you input into your game or your training? What is it?
Uh, I would like to. I think having more power will help me a lot in in the matches where the ball where the game is kind of slower. I think those low scores that we playing sometimes they help in my game. Sometimes they not, because as you guys know, I don't hit like as hard as other players. So I think power would be one of the things. I've been dry serving well lately, and that was one of the things that I've been working on, and it's been working. It worked in Costa Rica. It helped me uh, uh, finish the second game against Andres Acuña. He was close to close the game in two games, and thanks to my dry serve, I was able to pull it out. What else could I don't know. I think it's by this time is just mentally. You have to be more strategic, see what your opponent is better at, and try to uh, not giving the balls he wants, or like putting the balls where he's more. I don't know how to say it, like where he's not usual, or where he's not as good as he usually is. I think by this time it's just mentally. It's more mentally.
When a lot of people look at pros and they see the tournaments, but that's all they see of the pros. I'm curious if you could tell us a little bit about your training. What do you do to prepare for tournaments? Are you training 6 days a week? Are you doing weights? Are you doing drills? Are you playing? What does a normal week look like for you?
Well, yeah, you're right. Most of the people see us at the tournaments and they just think that we play, and that's not true. Uh, I think the hardest part for me to be competing at this level is all the traveling. I've been traveling since I was 17 years old, when the WRT and the IRT was were like in their moment, and I when I was 18, I used to play like a lot of tournaments, and I've been kind of getting tired of traveling a lot. I usually just want to, once I lost or once the tournament is finished, if I win or I lost, I just want to go home. But yeah, well, that's one of the hardest parts. And about my training, I've been having a system with my dad with weightlifting, upper body. We do like, I don't know the words in English, but they're just
Say
like
in Spanish.
cardio sessions, explosión, velocidad, like
Mhm.
speed movements. We do a bunch of stuff. We train 6 days a week, and we try to uh, do different things like every day, and then repeat the things that we feel are working better. Because I try to implement those things in my game, and then if I feel good, if I don't feel good, then we kind of know what to do more and what to do less. And yeah, that's basically what we're trying to do.
Yeah, you're definitely, you know, you're on the right track. and real quick, you could just yes or no on this one. Do you do any mental strength and conditioning specifically? Just mental?
Yeah, yes, of
Okay.
course. That's
Okay.
the most important part. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, that makes me happy. So, you know, I just got a text from Veronica while she's watching in the other room with the kids, and I had this on my list to ask you anyway. Tell everybody though, you know, you're doing something really awesome, and that's your sneaker business. You know, you do more stuff than just play professional racquetball, which unfortunately most of us have to do, especially right now. But you know, tell everybody a little bit about your sneaker business.
Well, I started it because of the pandemic. While we were not having tournaments, and I was not able to train as much as I usually do. So I had free time. So I love sneakers since I started like buying them because I was playing like racquetball and I looked to all these basketball shoes that I wanted to play in. So that's something that I liked. So I started the business during the pandemic and all the malls, all the stores were closed. So when I started, I was selling a lot of shoes. Once all the stores come back, I stopped a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's a good business that I can run while I'm playing racquetball because I train, because I go to the tournaments, I travel, and I mean, I've been trying to make it bigger, but it's just about time. It's just about time.
Yeah, well, you're certainly school. You know, I'm always sending you pictures of my sneakers, and you're
Yeah.
telling me what's good, what's not. You're kind of like a Wall Street advisor, but with sneakers. It's pretty cool to, you know. I'm just telling you, don't get Asher into sneakers because it's expensive. And you know, hey, we do have a question. This is important, Andre. Look, somebody asked, where can they see, you know, about the shoes if they want to purchase, or what do they do about that?
Uh, Basically, I'm now only selling in Mexico because all the shipping and all the custom fees are kind of hard for me now in the US to ship to another countries. So I'm just doing in Mexico. But if you're a racquetball guy, if you want a pair of shoes that I have an Instagram account, I have an online website. It's called Shoes a la Parrilla, which means grilled shoes because it's my last name. And yeah, if you see any model that you want, maybe if I go to a tournament and I see you, I can give you the shoes there if you want to purchase some.
I think what Andre was saying is that he's going to have a tournament in San Luis and invite all the U.S. players to come down, amateur events, so they can buy his shoes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We should
I'll
do
do
that.
that.
All
I'll
right,
do that.
I have one or two more questions that I need to ask you, and then I know we'll let you go. You're busy, and then Doctor and I, we have some stuff to attend to. So Doc, I'll go.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
It's just me and you.
Yeah.
It's always funny when the host is the one who has the technology problems. Oh, he's coming
No, he's
back.
back. He's back. He's back.
I don't know. We talked about this. I'm sorry. All right, Andre. So we know the deal. Alvy's going to be retiring after the Worlds. Alvaro Beltran is retiring, and Daniel's going to need a partner. Have you guys discussed that at all? Is that something that's on the table?
I didn't know Alvaro was about to retire. I mean, of course, he's
You knew.
he's kind of old, but I didn't know he's retiring after Worlds. I thought he wanted to play a little more. And no, I haven't talked to Daniel about that. Probably we can make a good team, but we should talk before.
Doc, I have one final question, but if you have anything else before we let Andre go.
Well, you got my little pics, right?
I do. You ready for this?
So, Andre, I went through my folders and found a couple pictures of you, which you may remember. Go ahead, Suds. Do you remember this?
Let me see him.
Next one.
I can see him.
You can't? Oh, no.
Oh yeah. I now I see them. Now I see them. Yeah, I remember that one. That was in Dominican Republic. Yeah.
That's right.
In
That's
18,
right. So
18,
I was
18
telling
final.
Sudsy before the show, I have all these pictures, and every picture of you, you're on the floor. So I was like,
That's how
suddenly,
Montoya got me that way.
yeah, I was like, I don't think Andre won this match. I think he lost it. He's always on the floor.
I did lose that one. Yeah, I lost that one.
Well, it's been great. Even though you lost that one, it's been great to see you progress and continue to move up the rankings. So I'm excited for you and your push for #1, and we'll see if you can do it.
Thank you, Tim. Hopefully, I'll be able to be #1. I'll be working as hard as I can to accomplish that, and we will see. Thank you,
All right,
Tim.
Andre, before we let you go, I have one question that all the fans want to know. Who is the more popular sibling? Is it you or Jessica in the house?
Oh, Jessica is way more popular than I am. Sometimes we go out, we have a lunch or something, and they ask her for a picture, and they don't even know me. So she's way more popular than I am. Yeah, she's been in shows. She's been doing like a small character for movies. She's been working on that. So she's way more popular than I am. Yeah.
Well, hey, you're going to be popular too, and if you get to #1 at any point on the IRT tour, that popularity will skyrocket. So, Andre, you're always great. You're a great dude on the court, off the court. Keep working hard. Saludos to the family. Say hello, and thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks to all the sponsors again, Gearbox Racquetball, Reaching the Dream Foundation, La Loma, everybody that supports me. I'll be at the World Games. If you can watch, if somebody's close, hopefully you can go buy some tickets and go watch us. I have something to say to Team Dovetail. We have something. We'll announce it soon, so you guys wait for it. And yeah, hopefully see you guys soon.
Excellent. We'll do that, Andre. And if there's anything we could do to help that announcement, just shoot me a text. See you later, brother.
Thank you, Satsi. Bye,
Ciao.
team. Thanks.
See ya.
Good dude. All right, we're gonna take a quick commercial, and we'll come right back. All right, we gotta show those sponsors. You know how important that is, Doc, right?
I do.
We'll be right back in 30 seconds. He's a good guy, Andre, man. He's a good dude. Let me ask you, what do you think he needs? What does he need to do to become the #1 player in the world?
I think he identified the lack of power, and at some point, if somebody is pushing you all over the court with their power, if they're playing low and controlled hard like Daniel does, you get tired. And as much as you train for that fitness, can you do it match after match after match? And the person he sort of reminds me of, I mean, Menino was the first one that came to mind. He's a bit like a Rocky, right? He grinds out wins. He doesn't always win pretty, but he's found ways to win when he shouldn't win. And you look at how many tiebreakers he goes to and somehow seems to find a way to win them. But mentally and physically, that's hard to do over 3, 4, 5 matches. And I think he needs to find ways to win easier. And he talked about his drive serve. He needs those free points because otherwise it's tough.
That's one of the things with power. People, I see even a comment in there, how Paola doesn't hit it that hard. And we'll talk about that in our recap. You need to have that extra gear at times to get the ball. I call it the blow it by them power. Mm-hmm. It's not always, amateurs, it's not always how hard can I hit or I need to hit it harder and faster. No, but you need to have that weapon in your arsenal to be able to bring that out, whether it's a drive serve, whether it's you're in the rally and they have really good court position, but you're set up and you need to blow it by them or at least force a weak return. Like people ask me all the time on the men's side, who do I think hits the ball most consistently hard on the forehand side? And I'm like, Kane hits it harder than everybody. I said, but he only does it when he needs to or has to. And, you know, you see his power mostly in the box, in the service box, when he needs to blow a serve to the right, you know, from the left side, cross court. But it's about having that little extra gear. And I know we're going to discuss, you know, one of the LPRT players that made it high up in the rankings this year. And we saw a lot about how she's figured out how to use her power. And, you know, let's get right into it, Doc. Let's go. You know, I'll let you lead it off. Let's do a recap of the 2021-2022 LPRT season. It just ended in Kansas last week. You and I were on the mic a bunch. Thank you. That was awesome. Go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the big talking point, two big talking points. One, Erica Mania, right? Who went to South Carolina last year, almost the end of last season, didn't play well at all, and came off the court and told me, you know, I'm working full time. I'm trying to train. I'm trying to start mini athletics with my brother, and I've just got all this stuff going, and I can't really put in the work that I need to be successful. And the conversation I had with her, and I'm not taking credit for this, was you can't do everything well. You have to choose. And she did. And she quit her job. And all of a sudden, look where she is, ranked 6th in the world from nowhere in one season. Now, the big talking point then became the semifinals of the US Open, right? Where she pushed Paula really close, wasn't able to win that match, but I heard her come off that court and say, I'm going to train harder than I've ever trained before. And I love that attitude of, I lost, and I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen again. Well, it has. She's lost to Paula a couple times since, but it's that attitude of I'm going to go back to work, and I'm going to work on the issues that I had in this match to try to become better, as opposed to, I pushed her close. I played good. I should be happy with that. And I think we see that sometimes on both the men's and women's tours where,
live.
At least I'm top 8. Yeah, you see it in live, you see it in work, where at least I'm top 8, you know, or at least, but I took him to a tiebreaker. Okay. But you should be pissed right now.
you can say that on my show. You can say whatever you want. All right.
Yeah, and I'm not mentioning obviously any names. I'm just saying generalizations of that should eat at you. And you talked about when Naomi was on your show, I think the last show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you talked about how upset she got when she lost. That's a good thing. You want this. And so you're going to go away and do something about it. And Erica's that type of person who hates losing and will go away and work on what she did. And as a result, we've seen her dramatically rise up the rankings.
Yeah, she's a workhorse, you know, and I've been obviously talking to her a lot. She's figuring out, and what you and I noticed, and if anybody wants to go back and watch some of those matches, you know, she's figured out how to use her power to her advantage, and she's still not there yet. She's a few little tools, a couple of weapons, maybe some coaching here or there away from being a real problem for everyone all the time.
And I think she'd be the first to admit that maybe she makes more unforced errors than she should. And part of that is because she can hit that ball hard. And if anybody's ever been in the court with her hitting full power, she can hit that ball hard. And when you hit the ball that hard, chances are that you're going to throw in a few mistakes. The key is I threw in a few mistakes, but as long as my success rate is higher than my mistakes, then good things are happening. It's when those errors start to supersede those shots that we have problems. We saw her in doubles in Kansas City. Really, I mean, Herrera was on one leg, and it was Mania who kept balls alive, chased balls down, hit balls really hard that caused poor reactions, poor defense that really helped them win that title. And that was her first title, singles or doubles. And what a place to win it at the Supermax.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that to nauseum. You know, $60,000, Randy Root, and just incredible. The $60,000, what did I say, $60,000 Supermax Slam. I mean, it was really cool. It was great to be at. Yeah, Erica's just a couple of little things, little factors away from challenging. You know, you can't talk about the LPRT without talking about Paola.
Right.
She's just a surgeon. She is just so much more consistent and patient than everybody else.
And I would add one more thing.
What's that?
I think I said I would add one more thing, and I think maybe is the most important. She's mentally stronger.
Oh,
I mean, you look at how many times she's in tight matches where it could go either way. And we saw that with Monte Mejia in the final. It could go either way. And she somehow wins those 15-14s. She somehow is at 12-12 and closes it out. That's where I think she's better than anyone else.
oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt. And then because of that, that gets overlooked. But from a technical standpoint and her game and her abilities, her footwork is also second to none,
Yeah.
which is amazing. And that's so important in racquetball. And especially, you know, we have a ton of amateurs and players at all levels that watch the show. You know, footwork is so important because that's what we're trying to do. This is what I say. What's the number one drill we all do? We all learn, drop and hit. Well, what we're trying to do in a rally is to put ourselves in a position that we're in that drop and hit position, ready to hit a ball as efficiently as we can. So footwork matters in getting into that position. And, you know, that gets overlooked a lot as well. Obviously at the pro level, you know, psychological, the mental game is a huge part of it. But, you know, I work with players all different sizes and divisions and ages. And I talk about that. And I work on footwork and how to put yourself in the right position. And she just does that so well. So, you know, how does she get to that end result? Well, it's the lion in the jungle theory, right? She's just really good, if not the best, at every attribute you need to be one of the best out there. And she just does it over and over and over. And congrats to her. She was going to be on with us tonight. But she's, you know, she's so busy. I tell her all the time, and you know this, she could be president of Mexico one day. And that's not a joke.
Yeah, it's impressive. But if we're recapping this season and not the previous 12, 13 seasons, this is the first time where I went, wow, people believe they can beat her now. Because I started in the fall of 2019, right? This is the end of my third season. Those first two seasons, she didn't look touchable. She just rolled everybody. And it was a procession. This is the first time where we've seen Mejia beat her at the Supermax last year. And then Alexandra lost 11-9 in Chicago. And then Alexandra beat her twice in a row. And I was really looking forward to Supermax Slam to see if we could see this Herrera-Longoria part 4, because they went tiebreaker again in Boston, part 4. And then Herrera hurt her ankle, and then she wasn't able to play singles. And so that was kind of that, oh man, that would have been a great way to finish this tournament.
All right, so question for you. Is the Herrera-Longoria a true rivalry yet?
We had this discussion after the first two, right? When Herrera won the first two, we had this discussion, and I said not yet. And then we saw Herrera and Longoria go tiebreaker. And I said, well, maybe. I want to see one more match. I want to see one more match between those two. It's not going to be until probably, if they play each other, it won't be till August at the earliest. You know, what kind of shape are they going to be in after the World Games? Maybe taking some time off from racquetball. I have no idea. But those two, I think, are definitely by far the top two. I think Mejia and Mania are right behind. Vargas is having another child, so we don't know where she's going to be in the mix. I think it's going to be very dangerous for people in the spring. I'm imagining she's coming back. She's going to come back.
She is.
You know, whatever, 8 seed or 10 seed or something like that. And all of a sudden, people who are maybe 3, 4, and 5 are having to play Vargas in the round of 16s. And that's not somebody you want to play at that position.
Oh no, and she will work hard. I mean, she was at our house for she left Kansas right away, which I like, by the way. You know, we talk about that. You know, she was there to work and she didn't succeed. And as soon as she lost, as you know, boom, she was out of there, you know, and she was here and she worked out here with Veronica when she got back. I mean, she's 4.5 months pregnant. She will continue to play to the last second till the doctor tells her that's enough. So when she gets back, she will be ready. There's no doubt in my mind. And that is no fun for anyone. I remember when I got hurt, I broke my foot. I was number one. I didn't get back till I was ranked 8 or 9. So it happens. But yeah, it'll be exciting. Let me ask you this: biggest surprise this year that you feel from the season? What's the biggest surprise in a player?
I think it's gotta be Erica. Just coming from zero to 6 is highly impressive.
Was she 0? Was she really no?
She was down at about 25, I think, back in at the start of the season. So she wasn't even in the top 20, and to finish at 6 is impressive. Now the question is, when anybody comes on tour, a good example of this is Mika Meneses, who had some excellent wins early in the season because nobody knew who she was. And so maybe they took her a little bit lightly, and she came in and surprised a few people. And then all of a sudden, oh, you're playing Mika. I got to prepare for this. I got to be my best. I've got to work hard on this. And then Mika's results were not as successful as they were earlier in the season. And I think Erica, now everybody knows Erica. They know who she is. They know what kind of player she is. They've seen enough video that maybe they can start to break that game down. And it's not going to be as easy for Erica maybe to just surprise beat people.
That's a great point right there, because I'll tell you right now, any player I ever looked at and said, that might be a problem, I actually made sure I worked harder to know exactly what might make them a problem. So it's not going to get easier for her. So, it's cat and mouse. She's going to have to keep adjusting, and she will keep working. But, she's a great player. She's close. She's right there. We'll see what happens. Let me ask you this. Top 4, the final rankings were Paola 1, Herrera 2, Vargas 3, Natalia 4, Gabby Martinez 5. What changes do you see a year from today? What are we talking about?
That's a big question. Obviously, Vargas is dropping. We know that just because she can't play in the tournaments that she would be playing. Mendez looks fragile at 4. And the only reason I say that is because she hasn't yet gotten to a final that I believe she has. She's never been in a final. She's never won a stop, which means that she's beating the people she's supposed to beat, but then not beating the people above her. And I think her game style is beatable. The way she plays, it's a unique swing. We've talked about this before, you and I.
I think it's a flaw. I think if she doesn't fix that forehand side, and figure out how to be a little more consistent and a little more efficient with it, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, Martinez can be wherever she wants to be. The question for Martinez is, are you putting in the work in Guatemala? Are you going to come to all the tournaments? If you don't come to all the tournaments, then your seeding isn't great. And then you've got some really tough battles in the 16s and quarters. She could be wherever she wants to be. The question marks for me, Angelica Barrios, it has great tournaments, and then has tournaments where, doesn't talk, Andre was talking about consistency. We don't see that consistency in Barrios. Jessica Parilla, she got to her first semifinal, I think, since 2017. It's great to see her back. But again, can you beat the people above you? You're beating the people who you're supposed to beat in the 32s and 16s. Can you do it against the Alexandras and those? Montse Mejia, I think, can be, again, as good as she wants to be, has all the tools. Can she get to all the tournaments? I know her schedule with classes and things prohibits that. And then that makes it hard. But watching her play Paola in Kansas City, it was like, that could have gone either way. That could have gone either way. That was an amazing match. Rhonda is still in the top 10, which is amazing. What's that, 22 years in a row? It's just unbelievable.
It's longer than I've been alive.
Right.
I wish.
But, it hasn't exactly set the world on fire on the LPRT. U.S. Nationals, she just seems to bring out the best in her. She plays amazing.
she's Rhonda. You know, it's Veronica says it all the time. She's like, I will never bet against her. She's that player. She has that
Yeah.
skill, the ability. You know, I talk about it when we were in Texas. You know, she said to me before her semifinal match with Kehlani, I said, so how do you feel? You know, just small talk. And she goes, I have to win this. I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, I have to win this match. I need to get back on the team. So I'm going to win this match. And she went out, played great, did what she needed to. And yeah, I mean, you know, she's Rhonda. She's great. I think she can play for a few more years if she wants. It'll be interesting, you know. But I think all in all, the LPRT right now, and I say this often, is our best form of communication for the world to see and know what racquetball is, whether it's at the professional level or the beginner level. And I mean that not only the girls' ability and the ladies' abilities on the court and their talents, but they're really great off the court. And you know, it's fun to be a part of this. It's fun to be you know, at this time of where we're at, what I see with the LPRT, and it's just great. And I appreciate, you know, commentating with you in Kansas. And who knows, maybe
It was
there'll be
fun.
more times coming up. But you know, it was a great season. I think the season coming up will be fun. Also, it starts in August, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. Let me ask you though. I always look at these tours, right? Because I follow IRT, of course I do. Who
Me too. We're fans.
who are you going to see next season make the jump? We saw Erica Mania do it this season. Who do you see that going? Okay, here we go. This person's gonna shine.
Again, I mean, there's so many variables there, and I think that, you know, so to me, in no particular order, the best 5 players in the world today, on the women's side, are, you're talking about the LPRT, obviously, right? Okay,
Yeah.
because somebody just commented, Conrado Moscoso. That's a whole nother story and conversation. Paola, Alexandra Herrera, Vargas. I think Monsi's in there, and I think Gabby is. But again, if they can get there, if they can commit the time, if they decide this is what I want to do, I want to go be the best player in the world. You know, and I'll add one more, and I'm going to get yelled at later. But if Veronica decides she can get there and she can truly do it with the kids, you know, we've talked about it. I think she's a top 5 player in the world. And I can tell you this, she's working really hard. I'll leave it at that. Ecuador's hoping she can represent Ecuador and play, but I would love to see her give it a ride and go full time too.
All right, but you didn't. Maybe I didn't make my question clear. Who do you see?
Maybe I'm avoiding it. Go ahead.
No. Come on, this is your show. You said you can say anything.
You can go ahead.
Who do you see making that jump up the rankings? Because all of those are already great players, right? They're already top 10 players.
Sure.
Who are you looking at to say this person can make a jump from maybe the you know, bottom from 11 to 20 or outside the 20 to really shine next year?
Man, I mean, I would love to see a Naomi Ross play full time, a junior that has nothing to lose and is going to go out there and play every match like it matters, which I love. She, you know, the little bit I know about her and I've seen of her, you know, that junior, she's only 16, I think, or 17. I think she can make a lot of noise. You know, you have to have that passion and that love and that, but you also need that support to get to those events. I don't honestly see too many big jumps. I mean, you know, Monty finished ranked number 10. She's not the 10th ranked player in the world. So again, she is, excuse me, I said that wrong. I don't think she's the 10th best player in the world. Her rank.
That's a good screenshot, Sudsy. I'm gonna take a little screenshot of this. Send it to you later. All right. There he is. He's coming back.
I don't know, man. We talk about this. If anybody has any ideas, I'm hardlined in. I have over 900 up, down. I have over 30 up. I don't know why it's doing that. I apologize. Doc, thanks for holding court while I'm out there.
Don't worry. I took a screenshot of your face. It's priceless. I'll send it to you later.
I can't wait. I'm sure you're not the only one. I'm gonna, you know, I don't think there's too many major changes. Carla Munoz is working really hard. She's had some good wins. Can she do it consistently? Can Kehlani or Holly Scott get into the top 8? I think I think there needs to be a little bit of a different focus from them as well. Like, treat it as a job, treat it as a profession, treat it as a business. You know, and this, I'm not saying don't be friendly. I'm not saying like, hey, go there to win. And if that doesn't happen, get out of here and go do everything you can to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So I don't know. I don't think there's too many changes, to be quite honest. If you're thinking of someone, tell me and I'll stand corrected.
No, I mean, I always look at the juniors, right? Who's playing in the junior worlds that may be able to make a run for it. The two I think who are young and have potential are Centellas and Meneses, and obviously Naomi Ross comes to mind as well. I said potential, right? They're young enough that they've got years and years and years and years ahead of them. So there is opportunity for them to make a splash. The person I would love to see on the tour a lot more is Daniela Rico from Mexico.
She's tough.
Who has an excellent backhand and has tremendous power, but we just don't get to see her very often. And so she comes in ranked 25 and is immediately playing somebody very difficult. And I would love to see her to be able to play full time on tour. And I think she can cause problems against anybody. And she's still a junior as well. So I think she'll be, if she can get on tour more, she'll be a handful for many.
Yeah, there's a few out there. One we didn't mention, but I don't know if she's going to be able to play full time. I know you know her, Maricruz Ortiz, another one that can smack that ball.
Yeah.
And it's just, a decision whether or not she can do it. Someone I've worked with, I've had the pleasure of working with, Veronica and I also, could get it up there like Erica. And people don't realize we talk about Erica's power, but she hits it based on the radar gun 10 to 15 miles per hour harder. That's a different planet. A few miles, 3, 4, 5 miles per hour. That's not that much. That's kind of similar. Yeah. But I think it was over 10 miles per hour. She hit it harder than Samantha. Yeah. That's different. So, I would love to see some of those players get out there. We'll see. I think that if I had to pick one name out of the top 4 that might not be in the top 4 a year from now, she's also dealing with the shoulder injury. And I think that's part of the mechanics is Natalia. I think, seeing what happens. Can Jessica put it together? Again, like I said, Carla's playing great. She's working hard. Valeria Centellas, Mika. This is the times now. Like TikTok. If you're going to do it now. Make that commitment. Make that decision. Do everything you can to be the best you can because, clock goes quick. We know that. And the
one thing I love about the LPRT, aside from Herrera and probably, well, certainly Paola and Herrera, anybody can beat anybody on any day. And we see it. And it makes the round of 16 and the quarterfinals so interesting. Because by the time you get to the semis, you're going to get a great semifinal. You're going to get a great final. But those round of 16s and quarters, even sometimes at 32s, but definitely 16 and quarters, they're battles because they're so close to each other in ranking and skill level. It is really a strong group of ladies who compete hard against each other and are very, very professional on and off the court.
Yeah, the parity is fantastic. It's been great. So I think we'll end it there. Hey, Remy Martinez, Doc, look, he must have missed us. I mean, we said Naomi. She'd be one.
Multiple times. Come on, Remy.
Remy, we mentioned Naomi a lot, and we're going to – if she can get out there full time, she could be a force. It'd be fun. So we'll see what happens. So, Doc, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll talk about that after. And then we will come right back to, discuss some of the events that are coming up. So stay right here. Give me 20 seconds. Don't move. So we exist. Racquetball is an amazing sport. It helps you obviously physically and mentally, but it helps you in life in general. And definitely say that you should all go play.
Play racquetball.
So it's the only time I'm going to say it because you know how I feel about it. But Jules said, "How many stars did you get tonight?" I'm just kidding. She didn't say that. I just had to throw it out. Can you really tell everybody, because there's this like mixed reaction about stars, and how we hear it so much now. Donate stars, do this, do that. Just kind of tell everybody about the stars program, what it does, whether it's on this show, LPRT, just what it is.
Yeah, so stars come through Facebook, and you can buy these stars through Facebook. They're basically tokens that you can give when you like something that you're watching, and it's just a way of appreciating that. It's a way that people earn a living. Gamers, for example, will earn their living through star donations, and it's just a way of saying thank you. There's definitely a balance, right? Who doesn't like getting those? LPRT, we use the money to go back into the tour. It's a player run tour. And so it's always nice to get those. At the same instance, you got to balance trying to be professional, trying to talk about what's going on in the match versus how do you remind people that you can donate. And I don't know that we've necessarily found that solution because this is still a new thing. I would love somebody to say, you know what, Tim, we'll sponsor the LPRT this year so you don't ever talk about stars on the show.
I agree. I concur.
Very happy to do that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I thank God I'm fortunate, I have some good sponsors and supporters, and Frank Hotels, Performance Chemicals, Carlos Cabrera, Sal and DiPercanti. That was my stars plug right there. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it is a tough balance. And even as a fan, I've watched some racquetball online, and it's like, it makes me shy away, but I understand it's important. It helps. There's no doubt about it. And whether it's this show, LPRT, IRT, USA Racquetball, it's appreciated. And here's the interesting thing to me. Like, 1 star is 1 penny, right? Is that correct?
Right.
Like, that's
Right.
the cost. So I find this funny, and no offense. You get all this credibility and love, and you donated 100 stars, and you should, right? It's $1. And I'm like, that's super cool. But, and then all of a sudden you're a big shot, and it's great, and it is cool, but it all matters. This is not. Don't get mad at me, anybody. I'm not saying I'm grateful. Send me a star. I love it. But it's just funny how we can create this, I don't know, this new animal we have to deal with. So, all right, let's get into what we have coming up for June and July in the racquetball world. And we won't say stars again, I promise. So the next event is the Junior Nationals this weekend in Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah, Junior Nationals. A couple of years ago, I tried to get Statman, we'll talk about him in a little bit, to go to Junior Nationals. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. And I really wish he had. I know you were involved as a junior. Having kids around, I went to World Juniors several times with IRF, and it's so much fun to see all the kids around. The Canadian Nationals was juniors and seniors combined, so I was able to see all that. And it's so awesome to see all those kids on courts. I don't know how to describe it other than it gives you that warm fuzzies of racquetball's alive. There's kids playing on courts. What's your experiences?
I started my racquetball journey in junior racquetball. I started in the 8 and under, no bounce. So you had multi-bounce. And that was when I first started chasing that Olympic dream. But I also wanted to be a professional racquetball player. Well, not really. So when I was 8 years old, I was 8. I didn't decide I really wanted to be the best racquetball player in the world till I was about 10 or 11. But I played 11 junior nationals. I won every singles and doubles title in all age divisions.
Wow.
But I remember the camaraderie, Doc. It was packed with, when I won the 8 and under, I think.
Wait, you weren't like stone-faced Cold Stone Killer?
No, I'll tell you a good story you'll like, because we talk about this. I think I started around the 32 or 64 in the 8 and under, and it was pretty awesome. So I'll give you a quick story about that. So that's my first junior national, and I'm going to tell the story because Tim and I always talk about the mental stuff that goes on and what we see players, quite frankly, need to do at the professional level. This doesn't pertain to all of you amateurs; just depends on your goals. So it's the 8 and under finals, Tim, and I'm playing a kid from Florida, and I won the first game, and I'm winning big in the second game. Like, I'm going to win. I'm not worried about this. And this kid's just frustrated, and he's all upset. And I remember he looked up at the ref, and I think the score, I don't remember the score, so I'm going to make it up. I think it was like 10 serving 5 or whatever. And he calls a timeout. And it's packed up there. That's another thing I remember. I'm playing the 8 and under, and the stands were packed. And the ref says, "Oh, sorry, you have no more timeouts." So he turns around and gets ready to return serve. And I look up at the ref and I go, "Timeout." I give him a timeout. So everybody kind of like, I don't know, maybe there were some claps. Maybe I just thought I thought I was helping them because, I wasn't worried about beating them. And at the time it was probably before I got a little less cordial than I became as a professional at times. And I called the timeout for him. So he took the timeout, walked off the court, and I'll never forget my dad looking down in front of all the people. And he kind of leaned over the balcony and he said, "Don't you ever do that again."
Wow.
And I remember like the fear of God in me looking up at him like, whoa, like he can reach down 20 feet and grab me or slap me at that moment. And I just kind of looked at him and I just nodded my head and said, okay. And, I closed out the match. But yeah, that was my 8 and under junior nationals, no bounce. That was the other thing I did. You could hit it on multiple bounces if it was within a certain lines. And I would always just hit it on one bounce because that's how I played at home with Jason Menino and Ruben. And, so I never hit it on two. And so the transition was easy. But the tournaments were always packed. I remember they were always at the end of the school year. So always summer, like now, end of June. They were always at the end of June. You always looked forward to it. And it was always in a different city. So I could tell you every year we went to a different city. I never went to the same city twice. And that was a lot of fun. So yeah, I have some good stories, some good memories. 10 and under finals. I won the 10 and under, and Jeff Conine, you remember that name? He won the 18 and under. He almost missed his final because he was at baseball practice, which I guess that turned out good for him. Became a Major League Baseball All-Star player and also a World Series champ. So yeah, there was a lot of good memories. A lot of the great pros played those juniors, but yeah, it was packed. It was awesome. Both divisions, the girls, the boys, and it was a lot of fun. So they're in Des Moines this weekend, and hopefully it'll be a great event. I don't know what the entries are, but like you said, it's always great to see kids on the court.
Yeah, it is. The challenge. I think it would be great if the juniors could be moved around, or at least West Coast to East Coast. I'm president of a national organization where we have that system in place where each year we rotate between East and West Coast to allow people on the West to go to a more local conference and save some money, and the ones on the East the next year. I think that would be, I obviously I don't know USAR's accessibility to that many courts or who would host it, but if you're just having it in one location or one specific area each year, then some of those parents or kids may not be able to make that. If they could do East-West or North-South or something like that, maybe that would allow that area, that region, to bring more kids that year and generate maybe a little bit more interest of, I got to try it because it was close to me. And then I got the bug and now I want to go next year.
I love it. We will continue this conversation. I have a lot of projects on my plate. If you looked behind this screen, there's Post-its everywhere. I think I look like a madman. But
I'm not going to comment on that.
Oh, you can. It's okay. It's my show. Remember, I have thick skin. I don't get bothered. Yeah, it's something that's a great idea. It's something just move. I don't think it necessarily has to be a national. It could be a junior event, a junior spectacle. And you're absolutely right. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think it's something to think about. I think it'd be amazing to include the pros so that they have something to aspire to see some of the pro players. And there's something I'm working on with some good people, and you might have to take a role in this. So we'll talk about that. So
if you've never seen good 10-year-olds play, it is unbelievable.
Entertaining.
They are so good. And, flying around the court, hitting the floor, no fear. Never get tired,
emotion,
lose their match, cry, get up, go get a ball, get on a court and go play that person again for fun.
They have more passion than many of the professionals we see. That's a fact. All right. Then you have the World Games in Alabama, July 10th through the 13th. What do you got for me on that, Doc? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because they based who plays in it on the qualifications or how people did at the World Championships. And it got interesting because IRF have to have representation from the multiple continents, right? They can't just take the top 12 who are going to be North, Central, South America. They actually have to take people from Europe. They have to take people from Asia. And so you're going to see some players in there who you probably wouldn't recognize or have heard of before, from Ireland, from Korea, Japan. They're going to be in the mix as well. This one is different because it's single elimination straight into a bracket. I believe a round of 16 is what we're starting with. And then boom, you lose, you're done. See you later.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, it's just an interesting 3-day event. It's in Birmingham, Alabama. I know you can go watch. You can buy tickets if you're anywhere near there. And the World Games is basically the biggest event that IRF will be involved in outside of the Pan Am Games, which are huge.
But not all the players are there, just the top 16.
At the World Games, right. And Pan Am Games obviously eliminate everybody outside of North, Central, and South America.
I've never heard of the World Games ever until this year. So is this our first year in it? Is racquetball?
No. Okay. We were supposed to be in it in the last World Games. They were in Poland, but they wouldn't build courts, or they didn't have the finances to build courts. And so World Games, they weren't held there. But they've been going on for quite some time. It's hit or miss depending on where it's being held, in what country it's being held. Do they have courts? Are they willing to put in the courts? Kind of like Pan Am Games were in Peru, where they had to build courts in order to host racquetball.
Well, I mean, I'll watch it. I love racquetball. You love racquetball. We know everybody should watch it, share it, pay attention to it. It's racquetball. That's what matters, indoor and outdoor. Then we have the Team Root Outdoor Nationals, Huntington Beach, California, July 14th through the 17th. What do you got? I mean, Randy Root, once again, his name's on that. The Team Root Outdoor Nationals. Great event. Mike Coulter, 3-wall ball, outdoor. Like I say it all the time. Indoor, outdoor, I don't care. It's a racquetball racket with a racquetball. Give me a closet and I'll go play it.
Yeah, this is part of the series. So we had Beach Bash. We've got Huntington Beach. We'll have 3-wall ball in October. We'll see a good representation of players there because it's out in California, which is a big hub for outdoor racquetball. I think JTRB, Mr. Racquetball, is going to be streaming that one. It's down where he lives. And the challenge, I saw some discussion this evening or this afternoon about indoor versus outdoor. I think the challenge for outdoor is how do you get the cameras close enough so that we can really follow the action? Whereas indoor, we're up against the glass. Outdoor, we tend to be a little bit further away. And so it's a real challenge to follow the ball and see it. And then the other thing I would say, and this is just Tim speaking as a neutral, is how do we make outdoor have maybe a few more rallies? And if we have a few more rallies, how do we see those rallies when the players are in front on that short wall? And I think that's just from a broadcast point of view. We want to make outdoor entertaining because it really is, especially when you get 4 really good players out there. We have to find ways to make that more accessible to the viewer so that they can really see what's going on. And I think JT did a really good job at Beach Bash by getting the cameras down close to the court, so it felt a little bit more like we were there, as opposed to very much standoffish, which it tends to be that kind of automatic camera position.
Well, yeah, I did a quick video. It's on my Facebook page. You can go see it. And I went into the court with the camera live, and I just followed around the play. Could be dangerous if you don't know how to move in a court, but it was a cool view. And I will have somebody that is in production and has some ideas on how to how to shoot racquetball indoor and outdoor. So that'll be a good discussion. He'll be on a show in the future, and we'll see what happens. And I know, and we're not going to talk about it now because it's not going to be there, but Squash 57, we'll discuss that on a later show. That will be more rallies for sure. All right, and then to close out July, I don't know much about it. It's the NMRA International Championships in Minneapolis, July 20th to the 23rd. Should I go enter that, Tim? What do you think?
So the thing is about NMRA, World Seniors, you will play a lot of matches. You will play a lot of games. So if you're not in shape, and I know you are because you always talk to me about your Peloton, that
that doesn't make me in shape. You know I'm in shape because we just ran around together last week.
We played 57 last week. You're in shape, Sudsy. You're fine. The one thing I love about NMRA events is that you go there and you're guaranteed a lot of matches. And I think somebody was talking about, the World Games. It's a lot of travel to go halfway around the world for 45 minutes of play. And that's a good point. As an amateur, I don't want to go all that way to play 45 minutes. NMRA
used to be that way. It used to be that way when we had big numbers.
It used to be. But maybe, I don't know. That's a different discussion. The one thing I love about NMRA is it's round robin. And so you're going to play a lot of different people. You get a lot of different experiences playing those people. It's based on points. You accumulate points for games won, matches won, total points won during the match. And so it's a culmination of those matches put together rather than, I beat Sudsy, so I move on to the next round. Well, you beat Sudsy, but maybe Sudsy beats somebody else in the next round of robin, and Sudsy beat that person really badly, and you won 2-1, and now all of a sudden Sudsy has more points than you.
Like every point matters.
Absolutely. And so it's brutal. I mean, everybody fights to the bitter end because they know that if I can just get those points off you here, maybe that pays off in 3 days.
I love that. I love every point matters. I have an idea for an event that you do that with the pros also. That would be a lot of fun. But you didn't answer. Should I enter that tournament?
I don't. So my question is, I don't know how many 40 plus play. I know there's a healthy 50 plus.
I'm not there yet.
You're not there yet. I know you're only 22, right?
24.
Oh, sorry. I was close. I do know I've played in the 40 plus and there were only a few players in Atlanta when they had it in Atlanta. Cindy Tilbury is the person to contact, by the way, for NMRA. But if you've never tried it, it's worth trying once just to experience it. And you get a lot of different people. You get some international players coming, just trying it out. And it's been, I really enjoyed it. I played with the famous Slimo Waragon, by the way, in nice. MRA. And from then on, he has teased me mercilessly. But
that's another event which I will be at, coaching one of my players. Yeah, Cindy does a great job with the NMRA, but I will be in New Mexico at the end of August. I just haven't decided if I'm going to enter that or not. We'll see. I don't know.
The World Seniors?
The World Seniors. Yeah. I'll be there. I'll be there. I don't know if I'm going to play, but I'm definitely going to be there. So we'll talk
I haven't decided if I'm going. I went last year. I don't know yet.
We'll talk about it later.
All right.
All right. So that's it for June, July calendar. Now here's something I want to introduce everybody to, and I really found it super, super cool and interesting. This year you were able to bring your son, Asher Baghurst, to some of the events at the LPRT. And he's been now known as the stat man for the LPRT, which is pretty awesome, pretty cool. And how old is he?
He's 12. He just turned 12.
He's just turned 12, and he's super ambitious. You and I were talking in Kansas. And statistics are important. I mean, nowadays, think about it, right? Stats are everything. And you told me about this little business that he has started. And first thing I said was, I'm going to hire him. I want to hire him for the players I coach. I want to hire him to look at some matches of Veronica and some other players that I work with, because I think it is super important to know, some statistics, which I'm going to let you talk about. So I'm going to throw this up on the screen, and I want you to tell everybody, because I think for the amateurs, this is a no-brainer. I would hire him immediately. I would video a couple games or matches, and I would contact him. And also, I want to know the pricing and what he does, because I'm serious. I'm a believer. So go ahead. Show everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's up here on the screen. He called it strategy, W in the data. His goal really, he loves collecting statistics and trying to find trends, et cetera, in matches. He's done a really good job with the LPRT in just going through those matches. Each match, we tend to have a specific goal, what we're looking for. And he said, you know, I could charge people to do this, because guess what? None of us really like watching our matches and doing the hard work of putting it all into a spreadsheet and figuring
Guilty.
out. Yeah, me too. And so I, believe it or not, Sudsy, I hired him this week to do, I recorded some matches with a guy I work with in town, and I gave him to Asher and I said, I need to know length of rallies in these 3 different games that we played. So he took it away. Next day he comes in, gives me the sheet. Here you go. If anybody wants the sheet, you can just message me and I'll be happy to send it to you. But basically you choose what statistics you want him to look for. And he charges $1.50 per person per game, because if you want, you know, your opponent or you or both, that's what he's looking for. And you choose what stats you're looking for. Make sure you got a good video of it. Put it on YouTube for him to watch. We limit access to the internet so he can watch certain things, and he can watch certain things on YouTube. And he'll go through it, put it together in a spreadsheet, and send it to you. It's one of those things where the athletes that I work with, I always encourage, hey, you need to break down your film. You need to look, here's how you do it. Oh, yeah, but that's a lot of work. Yeah, it is. Okay, so drop $15 and pay this guy to do it for you, and give him a little business, because he's like, I want to, he told me, he's like, I don't want to do a lemonade stand. Okay. Because everybody my age does a lemonade stand. I want to be like Elon Musk and do something that no one else does. I'm like, okay. And this is what he came up with. And so, yeah, he's doing it for racquetball. He started doing it for pickleball as well. And he said that, you know, if somebody hits a diving kill or something, he'll give a discount. And Jay's on. Jay, not there yet, my friend. He's got to prove his worth.
I agree with Jay, by the way. Raise your
He's
prices.
got to prove his worth. He's got to prove his worth. He needs experience. He needs some people on his resume before he can get to raising the prices. But yeah, I think it's something that most players need, including me. And it's why I gave him that work this week, because I don't have time to go through the video. And if I can pay him a few bucks to go ahead and do it for me, hand me the sheet of paper, and now I have the answers. I sent you actually earlier this week the data he collected and what we found. It was very interesting. So
impressive. It actually looked like it came from Elon Musk.
Well, I may have made the graph. I'll
Okay.
I'll send the graph, but he did the data, and so I think it's great that he wants to be involved in the sport, even though he doesn't play it competitively. He's doing something that I think a lot of people can benefit from.
I love it. I absolutely vouch for him. I say you should do it. I am hiring him 100%. He will do it. It's amazing because you don't know when you're in the court or even coaching, you don't realize, like, wow, her first serve percentage or his first serve percentage was only 42%. And you're like, man, that's 30% less than what I need. Or my favorite one, and we've talked about this, is I'm going to have him do opportunities executed versus not, because that's the biggest difference at the highest level and every level. I'm working with a player right now that wants to be the best age division player in the country. And I just tell him, I preach all the time. I'm like, it's about executing opportunities. And they don't realize, and you've coached too, Doc, they get so many opportunities at every level and they don't get why they lost the match or the point. But Statman can definitely help you to really dial in on that. And I'm looking forward to working with him. So again, here's the sheet one more time. You could take that info down, take his number down, take the email down. I'm all for it.
Just send me a message and I'll send you the sheet or can go from there. I mean, obviously it's all coming through Dad anyway, but it's pretty cool to see him take going to the LPRT events where he's not particularly an extrovert, doing something that is productive for me when I'm doing commentary, and then seeing how he can convert that into something beneficial for him. It's been pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it's fun, and he's a good kid, more importantly. So I think we got to close out the show here. We're getting to the end. Statman, I'll be contacting you soon. I'm gonna actually have you on retainer, but Dad will explain that to you. You probably
easy.
So Doc, we talked after Kansas. I had to go to Washington.
Yeah.
I was literally, I think, at the furthest point on the western coast. Is it Western Seaboard? I only hear Eastern Seaboard. It is, right? So I was in Long Beach, Washington, and I sent a photo to Veronica, and literally I was further away than Ecuador is.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was out there with one of our sponsors, Frank Hotels, who you know.
Yeah. You and I actually talked to the players at Kansas City about sponsorship and marketing and raising your profile. One of the challenges, I think, for anybody in the sport who has a sponsorship, hands up, right? Gearbox sponsor me. It's my responsibility to promote Gearbox and show my support for Gearbox in order to get a return on investment. And if you just stay in Vero Beach, and thanks Frank Hotels for your sponsorship or my tournament or the LPRT or whatever, you don't really develop that relationship that helps you retain that sponsorship or make that sponsorship larger. So I mean, you told me, hey, I'm going out to the West Coast straight out of Kansas City. I was like, see you later. I'm going home. Why are you going out there? What's the purpose?
You know, we see the value in the sponsors that directly come in to the tours or to the players. But there's so many of us, Doc. There's so many fans and players out there all over the world, not just in the country, that we love racquetball. And, we joked about stars earlier and how important that is. But to me, one of, if not the most important things is showing the value and saying thank you to those who support us. We hear that a lot, right? Support those who support us. The companies, the industry sponsors, they're going to be there, right? We have to buy rackets. We have to buy gloves. Of course we support them. But it's these outside sponsors. It's the names you see, and we can go on and on. Whether it's KWM Gutterman, whether it's Randy Root, whether it's Frank Hotels, Performance Chemicals, whether, right here, Angels on Earth, PPEC, go look it up. I have it everywhere. We need to support them. These are the people that continue to make it happen. And you and I discuss this all too well, and we know it too well. And a lot of the players don't, and even fans, there's something called donor fatigue. Mm-hmm. And we need to support them the best we can and do everything we can to make sure that they're happy and they love it and they're involved. And again, when we were presenting to the ladies about how to build, their business or maximize their exposure, one of the first things I said is, anytime I'm working with somebody, my first question isn't how much are you going to pay me? It's what can I do for you? And, Frank Hotels is a great example. Go check him out. Go to frankhotels.com. Really, and this isn't a sales. He's not paying me extra to do this. Go check out his hotels, check out his property, show him that we can, have an uptick in his searches or just from this little racquetball show that we're talking about here. And support them in whatever way you can. Sometimes you can't, right? I mean, how do you support Randy Root and his laboratory if you're not a dentist? You never know. You might have a family that's...
Well, you may not support him in that way, but you can support any sponsor or donor by saying thank you, right? Because
yeah, absolutely.
Let's be honest, a lot of people involved in racquetball support racquetball knowing that they're not going to get... If I give $10,000 to Sudsy Munchik's racquetball company or your whatever you're doing, I probably know I'm not going to get $10,000 worth of product back in sales.
Your ROI is tough to measure, sure.
Yeah, but I'm doing it because I love racquetball and I may get something back, but that something may not be necessarily the money, because maybe I'm not doing it for the money. Maybe I'm doing it for the opportunity to give back. And when people recognize that you are giving back, that's appreciated. And if you see the value in, hey, I'm going to sponsor juniors clinics, and you actually see juniors playing on the courts, that's all you wanted. It doesn't have to be something beyond that. And I think return on investment from a company perspective, yeah, most businesses who are doing it for the money, a MyPillow, for example, probably want to see some return on their investment. But a lot of the companies I think that are involved in racquetball tend to have a passion for racquetball, and they're heavily invested in racquetball itself. So they're looking for something that isn't necessarily that financial return as the only reason they're doing it.
Yeah, and exactly, you said it best. How about just a thank you? Let them know that we appreciate it. You can, every time you watch a match, look at the stickers or the logos online or the mentions, say thank you. Let them know that we see them, and that, they might still want to be interested. We're at a crucial time. We're at a crucial point. Yeah, of course we need money, right? Everybody says that, but that gets tiring too. Like, stop saying we need it. We know we need it. What can we do to go make it better, or make somebody want to be part of it? And I could tell you, just my experience with Frank Hotels, super cool hotels. He has these properties all over Washington, Oregon, and he has now one in Florida, and they're in touristy locations. So the exact one I was in and stayed at was in Long Beach, Washington. Check this out. Talk about passion and love for the game. The nearest court to his house, and he plays 3-4 times a week, is 1.5 hours away. So he drove an hour and a half each way to go play. Now, yes, has plans to build a court in his house.
I was going to ask,
Yeah, which he does. But that's passion and love for the game, and that's why he's involved. And man, how happy I would be, Doc, if he told me, guess what? One person stayed at one of my properties because they love racquetball, and they saw that I'm a sponsor of the LPRT, or that you and Tim were talking about the hotels. FrankHotels.com. It's that simple. If you like the outdoors, if you like beachy stuff, if you like touristy little towns, go check it out. But yeah, thank you for asking me about that, because I think it is important. I don't think we do it enough. I think we lose sight of that. I was talking, this is off topic, but not. I was talking to a big sponsor of the tour and of racquetball today, who said he felt dirty because he got a text message from one of the associations or organizations, basically just asking for money out of nowhere, but they haven't made contact with this individual in a long time. And, they contacted me and said, man, they just don't get it. And right, that would be so different, right? If you just every now and then, but you have to care. It's got to be genuine too. It does have to be genuine. So, but we're racquetball players. We're great. We're easy. We love to do things, and we like to engage and talk. Show your gratitude, show your love for everybody. I do it all the time whenever I can. And that includes the personalities and the individuals and the influencers as well, not just the players, like you yourself, Tim, and all the work that you put into the sport. I think it's important because we need that energy too sometimes. I say it from my position in my seat all the time. I'm inspired and motivated by all the players and the fans that, the messages that come in. And I appreciate that. And that keeps me going. So it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we're about the end of the show. I think we had an opportunity to answer some questions, but I don't see many specific questions. One of the things that we should mention about World Games that I think we did miss, which Steve Castleberry pointed out, rally scoring. So those are going to be maybe less than 45 minutes, especially early rounds.
Yeah, I could tell you now, there's going to be some smaller countries that traveled a long way, and they won't be on the court for 45 minutes. But if it helps,
they played in the World Games, Sudsy. I think most of us would have taken that opportunity.
Say again. I'm sorry. Say that again.
They played at the World Games.
Hey, yeah. If it's racquetball and it works and it promotes and it helps them, or it helps the growth of the sport in their country, I'm all for it. Travel across the world for 20 minutes if that's what it takes. Yeah. So. Anyway, Doc, we're here. We're at the end of the show, and this is where I want to say thank you very much to our first guest, Andre. No, you're next. Andre Perea, of course. Thank you so much for being here, and Tim, of course. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being part of this. Thanks for introducing Statman to everybody. That's important. You do a lot. You're always out there, and I appreciate you always coming on the show and helping me out here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And of course, last but not least, always, Veronica, my love, can't do this without you. I don't do it without you. I'm probably not doing any of this without you. So I appreciate it. And, you are that inspiration and motivation I need daily to stay here in the sport. And the fans and the players, can't say it enough. Without you, yeah, I don't have that oxygen. And then I'm going to close it with what we just talked about. Some of those sponsors that make it happen, and we appreciate it. Go play racquetball, indoor or outdoor. Do whatever you can. Share the feed. Talk about it. Show it. Play it. Don't stop. And we're not done yet. All right. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you soon. Thanks again, Doc.
Bye, everybody.